Thank you so much, everyone, for still staying with us. It's good to know you are still there. We're moving on to another conversation entirely, and that's talking about World Soil Day, and that is what we'll be commemorating today. Let me give you a little bit of the background. World Soil Day is held annually on 5th December as a means to focus attention on the importance of healthy soil and to advocate for the sustainable management of soil resources. And this is exactly what we shall be x-raying this beautiful morning. We have a guest in the house who is a soil scientist, fellow Soil Science Society of Nigeria, and former Director of Federal Ministry of Agriculture. He is no other person than Mr. Bode Ujola. It's good to have you here this morning.
Thank you.
It's great to have you back on the program.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, let me start off this way. Today is World Soil Day, and of course 2019, a way rounding up the year.
Yes.
You know, if you look at a lot of instances that were practiced, human factor, when it comes to protecting the soil, sometimes you get to some environment, there is a valley, because people have actually scooped the soil, used it for other activities, not minding what will happen to the natural habitat, as the case may be. How do we manage our soil system in the country?
Yeah, thank you very much. Let me give you a little bit of background about what the soil day is, how the global community feels is a very important thing. Way back in 2012 or 2012, the FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization, recognizing the need to protect the planet for sustainable food production, and powered by by one king in Thailand who has been engaged in soil resources conservation, now decided that the global community concerned that at this rate, in which you can imagine the size of a football field, in 5 seconds the size of a football field is lost globally. It takes 1,000 years to produce just 2 centimeters of soil, and right now 33% of the planet is degraded. By 2050, 90% will be
You're
degraded.
talking about global warming now.
No, not global warming. I'm talking about global availability of land.
But what happened? What effect does that have? The global warming, because
I'll give
you
you-
talked about extinction now.
Yes.
But what effect does the climate change have on it?
Now already the situation is getting bad. Global climatic changes is now worsening it, in the sense that we now have period of excessive rainfall. We now have land degradation caused by so many factors. What happens is that I'm trying to situate the current situation, that if nothing is done and it's worsened by climatic changes, this climate change something, we will not be able to have land to do anything in the next 50 years.
What are some of the things that we do that are harmful to the soil system we have in a country? For instance, we know that climate change, global warming, greenhouse emission,
Yes.
it's a global phenomenon.
Yes.
It's not limited only to Nigeria.
No.
But what are some of the practices that we do back at home? Because we have COP49 thereabouts going on now, talking about
Which one?
climate COP. Talking
Okay,
about
okay,
climate
okay,
change,
okay,
and of
okay.
course it's going on now, and a lot of
yeah.
people are paying key attention to it. How can Nigeria as a country key into this COP and actually do the needful in terms of protection of the soil vis-a-vis what has been happening in terms of global warming itself?
Now, let me just come home so that you'll be able to understand clearly why it is necessary to take certain steps. And let me come home to Ibadan. There is a place in Ibadan where you call Igbogala. There is a place near the Premier Hotel. You can see that deliberately government preserved that place not to allow encroachment by deforestation, by tillage, by human activities that could trigger off erosion. What we are saying ultimately is that measures are being taken to make sure that this land is preserved. What are the causes of land degradation? The first of all is human activity, which you mentioned. You realize that urbanization has made hitherto agricultural lands become peri-urban. You need to drive gradually out of Ibadan. IIT, where it was before 50 years ago, was rainforest. There was no building there in the early 60s and 70s. What happens? Beyond Akinyele to Fiditi, you see houses. That means human activity is now encroaching on agricultural land. Now what we are saying is that we cannot stop human development in terms of agriculture because it must produce. But you must make sure you do it sustainably. And there are measures which can be taken. There is what we call zero or minimal tillage. You don't just expose. You see, the moment you remove the soil cover or the vegetation cover, the land is exposed.
But with the issue of urbanization, how do we begin to address this? Because this Igwagala that you actually mentioned is not the same way it is some years back.
The way, you see, that's why the World Soil Day is actually to create political awareness so that governments or agencies of governments will be able to have certain legislations whereby they will say these areas, you must preserve them. If you look at the original Ibadan in the 60s and 70s, some areas they will not allow you to build houses, either as river courses or steep slopes, so as not to trigger land degradation or erosion. So such legislations have to be followed either by local governments or by bylaws or by states to make sure that you preserve, you don't encroach in certain areas.
But that takes me to the issue of illegal tree felling, which has been a major issue. So how can we actually address this?
One of the areas where land degradation is actually affected more is on deforestation. What they're trying to do right now is that they want to reduce the level of consumption of trees and woodlots by using gases, gas or other avenues, so that we will not be able to use coal per se. If you go to the villages, you find out that majority of the areas there, they've already removed the trees. What government is trying to do is that they're trying to introduce measures whereby you will not need to cut down trees to meet your domestic requirements.
And will that cause much more climate change, much more global warming when we begin to look at gas emission now, beyond the coal system we're used to?
The coal system actually increases the emissions. The gas is actually a better alternative because these are natural gases which you get from Nigeria has one of the biggest supplies of gases in the world, which if you go around Ibadan right now, you'll see gas stations, where people now buy. The awareness is very high now. If you go to a typical village, just right now, you see them using cooking gas. So the awareness is actually increasing that you don't need to cut trees. And if you have to cut trees, replace it.
And another area where I'm talking about reverse of this is this regenerative agriculture. What exactly does it mean?
Regenerative agriculture? Yeah. What they are saying is that you are actually talking in terms of agriculture that is sustainable, that will sustain itself. If you plant a crop continuously in a particular place without replenishing the soil there, you are going to degrade, you are going to remove most of the nutrients over time. So the thing is to replace what you have taken from it.
Oyo State appears to be more of green area, as the case may be. We have a lot of vast land in Oyo State, for instance, compared to Lagos that has a lot of coastline, coastal activities going on. But interestingly, I've visited some areas in Lekki where there was serious preservation, where you can see monkeys, you can see snake, you can see squirrel in Lekki, but you have to pay. It's actually a free zone area where nobody can tamper with. It's just green. And of course, the trees are fresh, and they have argued over the years that actually adds to the system in making it much more better against global warming. But what is stopping states like Oyo State from having such activities going on, which also attracts investment? Somehow tourists will come in to actually see the vast areas not being touched by human. How come we don't have these kind of activities going on in other parts of the country?
In the first instance, the issue of advocacy is very important. People, apart from government, people need to know that they have to preserve their environment. Over time, you notice that things have changed. In recent times, if you go to Bodija, let's say some few years back, every house has a tree or two around it. So those are the natural things which will lead to less degradation of the area. You can have your houses, but do certain things that will preserve it. You mentioned Lekki just now. Yes, it's a deliberate government policy to have what you call green areas. That means some areas will be designated not for houses, not for agriculture, but to preserve it. You can imagine if the typical Igwagala if government has not made deliberate attempt to preserve it, where you have this steep slope, the entire area will have been removed. And by now what will happen? There will be erosion, and if you come to, there is a place around Mobile, down. That place will be filled up with silt. The same thing would have happened to Premier Hotel. you notice that around the place they didn't allow any cultivation of anything, not even buildings, except the new school that they are building. I think I've forgotten the name, damn something. What I'm saying is that government needs to enforce or ban legislation that these are areas which you will not crop, these are areas which you will not develop, these are areas which are protected. The same Lekki you mentioned right now, you understand, you realize that in the last 2 or 3 days, the place has been flooded. You notice. In fact, most people in Lekki right now are scared because the water is right in their sitting room. Why? The channelization that ought to have taken place to take water away was
Talking
blocked.
about the drainage system
Exactly.
now.
Was blocked. And in fact, a colleague of mine told me that he's been looking for a tenant to stay in his house, he could not get. He wants to sell his own house, he could not get it sold because water has come up to the ground floor. Simply because the areas where channels will have taken water away has been blocked.
We know there are always areas where I've been here, Matt, that, okay, do not do anything here. This is for green, this and this. But why is it that people always encroach? Are we not having strong enforcement policies?
Yes, there are 2 ways. You see, one thing is to have laws. The other one is to enforce it. And again, the issue of advocacy is very strong. That's why we are always referring to this World Soil Day thing. People must really know the impact of what they do. Let me give you an example. Somebody collects his waste. Rather than putting it in the center area, puts it on the road. Blocks the drains. Look at our drains right now. They have actually filled up with plastics. You only need one level of heavy rainfall like happened in Ibadan some few months ago and see that the entire place is flooded. So the advocacy must be there. There must be deliberate government policy. In fact, you have this last Lagos State Waste Management. In Oyo State, we have something similar to it, the environment something. Those people should be able to enforce the existing. We have laws.
But really, how do we now make our waste? What do we do to our waste system? Because it appears most time people burn. And of course, people have argued also, looking at analysts and those who are specialists in the sector of climate change, saying that burning is out of the way, that you don't burn things because it affects the ecosystem and of course the soil. Then how do you now manage the waste system?
You see, you have to look at the waste you generate. You have plastic waste.
A lot of them.
You have waste that are leaves. You have any other waste. You have even industrial waste. You have electronics waste. So the first thing is actually to classify the waste you have.
Which is plastic waste is more.
Plastic waste is more and takes more time to degrade than leaves or whatever it is.
Before we let you go, the theme of this event is Stop Soil Erosion, Save Our Future. What does this mean? What are we looking at?
Yes, I'm glad we are finally coming home to the theme is actually very apt. Once you remove the topsoil of any ecosystem, you have exposed the area to degradation. You will not be able to grow any crop there again. And like I said, a topsoil takes about 1,000 years to produce 2 centimeters of it. The crop grows in less than 1 foot. So once that one is not there, you are actually going to see bare soils.
Okay, what are some of your pattern shots in terms of ensuring that we have good quality soil system that is plantable, that we can plant and actually harvest on it at the end of the day?
The first thing is, the first way out is to actually increase the awareness among our farmers and stakeholders in the agricultural sector to practice agriculture that is sustainable. What do I mean? They should make sure the soil is preserved. They should make sure they have what you call minimum tillage, that means minimum removal of topsoil. And if they do, they should replenish what they have taken from the soil over time. And the areas that are not designated for agriculture, because we have some areas whereby you say this area is good for this particular crop, this area is not good, they should try and limit their operation.
We must say thank you so much to Mr. Bodil Joel. I wish we can go on and on, but I'm afraid we have to join our Lagos studio right about now for newspaper review, as the case may be. We've been speaking with him. He's a fellow Soil Science Society in Nigeria, SSSN. Thank you so much for being here. And of course, the topic has been World Soil Day 2019. Stop soil erosion, save our future. We peg it here. My name is Bolabo. Famous School.
And I am Anu Akomalafe. Till tomorrow, have a very beautiful day.